The Zephora drifted silently through the darkness of deep space, its hull scarred and battered from a violent cosmic storm. Inside, the alien crew moved with careful precision, their eyes glowing faintly under the dim lights of the ship. Captain Lyraya stood at the control panel, her long fingers brushing over the damaged interface, her mind racing. Every system failure, every warning light flashing across the console reminded her of how close they were to disaster. "We cannot continue like this," said Lyraya, her voice steady but heavy with tension. "Our engines are failing. Life support is unstable, and we are far from any known friendly territory." Navigator Vector, always logical and unyielding, frowned. "Captain, calling for assistance is meaningless. Our communications are almost completely offline. Even if someone hears us, they would be days, maybe weeks away." Engineer Soren's hands were covered in the metallic dust of improvised repairs. Sparks flew as she tried to reconnect a power conduit that had blown during the storm. "We don't have weeks. We barely have hours. Oxygen reserves are falling faster than we can recycle. We need a solution, any solution, before it's too late." Lyraya's eyes scanned the ship's status boards, hoping for some spark of hope. Then faintly, a signal appeared on the damaged long-range scanner. It was weak, almost impossible to detect, but unmistakable. Something, a vessel, was moving toward them. "Vector," Lyraya said, "do you see that?" Vector's eyes narrowed. "Yes, but it cannot be. Only a primitive vessel could survive in this region with the conditions we have just escaped." Soren looked up from her repairs. "Primitive or not, it is our only chance. We have to try to make contact." The alien crew debated among themselves. Their pride warned them that relying on a lesser species could be dangerous, even humiliating. But desperation outweighed pride. They opened a communication channel, carefully transmitting their status to the approaching ship. On board the human research shuttle, Captain Ethan Carter was studying a distant asteroid belt when the alien transmission reached him. The symbols were strange, unlike anything he had seen, but the tone of urgency was clear. He frowned, curiosity and concern mixing in his mind. "Ethan, this is unusual," said his co-pilot, a small AI assistant. "The signals indicate life, but it is not human. Not from any species in our database." Ethan's jaw tightened. "Then they need help. Plot a course to intercept. Let's see if we can figure out what's going on." Minutes later, Ethan's shuttle emerged from the darkness, approaching the crippled alien ship. The Zephora's hull bore fresh scars from micrometeoroid impacts in the storm's fury. Its engines glowed weakly, flickering like dying stars. Lyraya observed the human vessel warily. "You do not understand what you are approaching," she said, her voice careful, formal. "Our ship is damaged. Our systems are failing. We do not know if you are capable of helping." Ethan smiled faintly, leaning toward the scanner. "I won't know until I try. If we work together, maybe we can get your ship back online." A tense silence followed. Vector studied the human, skeptical, as if trying to see through a veil of species differences. Soren, however, felt a spark of hope. Humans were unpredictable, yes, but they were resourceful, inventive, and fearless in the face of danger. With careful precision, Ethan maneuvered his shuttle close enough for docking. The alien crew braced themselves, unsure if this human would damage their ship further, but Ethan's hands were steady, and his shuttle connected smoothly, forming a stable bridge between the two vessels. "We need to stabilize your life support first," Ethan said. "Then we can try the engine. Show me your systems. I'll see what I can do." Soren led Ethan through the corridors of the Zephora, showing him the complex network of alien machinery. To the human, it looked confusing at first, but he was quick to adapt, noting similarities between the alien energy conduits and human systems he had worked on. "You can reroute the secondary power through these channels," Ethan suggested, pointing to a damaged module. "It's not ideal, but it will stabilize oxygen circulation temporarily." Soren hesitated. "You think it will work?" "It has to," Ethan said firmly. "We don't have a choice." Together they worked swiftly. Sparks flew, and the ship shuddered as the life support system flickered back to steady operation. For the first time in hours, the crew could breathe a little easier. Captain Lyraya studied Ethan closely. There was a strange quality about this human, confidence, creativity, and courage combined. The crew had often underestimated humans, believing them too fragile or too simple to survive in harsh conditions. Yet here was proof otherwise. Just as hope began to rise, the long-range scanners detected a massive radiation storm approaching their location. A wave of energy bigger than anything they had seen moved toward them with terrifying speed. "We have minutes," Vector said, his voice tight. "We cannot survive this storm with the engines in their current state." Ethan's eyes narrowed as he assessed the situation. "Then we improvise. We use what you have left in my shuttle's auxiliary systems. I can stabilize the main engine long enough to escape the worst of the storm." Lyria hesitated. Pride and fear warred within her. Could she trust a human with the fate of her ship and crew? But there was no time for hesitation. She nodded. "Do it. We place our lives in your hands." Ethan moved quickly, connecting his shuttle's auxiliary energy to the alien main drive. Sparks arced across the interface, and the hull of the Zephora groaned under the sudden power surge. Soren and Vector monitored the system, their earlier skepticism giving way to cautious hope. As the storm approached, the alien ship shuddered violently, warning sirens echoing through the corridors. Ethan's hands worked with precision, rerouting energy, stabilizing conduits, and compensating for damage. The aliens watched in awe. Never before had a human commanded such control over advanced alien technology. Minutes stretched like hours as the storm bore down. Flashes of light and energy struck the hull, but Ethan's adjustments kept the ship intact. Lyria felt her heart pound with every shudder of the ship, but also a growing sense of trust and admiration. Finally, the storm's edge passed, leaving the Zephora battered but intact. The life support system hummed steadily, and the engines held together, though still unstable. The alien crew exchanged glances, a mixture of relief, disbelief, and respect shining in their eyes. Captain Lyria turned to Ethan, her expression softening. "You have done what we could not. You have saved us, human. Your courage. It is remarkable." Ethan smiled, brushing soot from his hands. "We all did it together. Your crew is strong, smart, and resourceful. I just added a little human creativity." Vector nodded slowly, a rare smile tugging at his features. "Perhaps humans are not as primitive as we assumed." Soren's eyes gleamed with inspiration. "I want to learn from you, human. Your ideas, your methods, they are unlike anything we have seen." Ethan chuckled softly. "Then we'll make a good team. But first, let's get this ship fully operational. We still have a long way to go before you're safe." As the Zephora drifted in the calm after the storm, a new sense of hope filled the ship. The alien crew realized that perhaps humans were not only brave, but capable of greatness in ways they had never imagined. And for Ethan, the adventure was far from over. He had earned the trust of an entire alien civilization, and together, they would face the challenges of deep space. But as the stars twinkled silently outside, none of them noticed the faint shadow creeping along the edge of the sensor readings, a new threat that would test their courage, ingenuity, and the fragile trust they had just formed. Part 1 ended in tense anticipation. The bond between human and aliens forged under fire, but the dangers of deep space had only begun to reveal themselves. The Zephora creaked under the strain of its makeshift repairs. The stars outside the hull glittered silently, indifferent to the struggles of those aboard. Captain Lyria moved along the corridor, her eyes sharp, her mind racing. The storm had passed, but the damage remained. The engines were barely functional, the hull still vulnerable, and deep space offered no second chances. Ethan Carter leaned over the main console, checking energy levels and engine output. His brow was furrowed, and sweat dotted his forehead despite the ship's controlled temperature. He had stabilized the life support and kept the engines from failing. But now the real challenge loomed, jumping the Zephora out of this sector before any further threats appeared. Soren stood beside him, her hands moving quickly across alien interfaces. "If we reroute power from the auxiliary shields to the main drive, we might get enough thrust for a short-range jump," she suggested. "But it is risky. The hull may not withstand the stress." Ethan's eyes flicked to the faint damage readouts. "We have no choice. If we stay here, we risk another storm, or worse. We need to act now." Vector observed silently, still skeptical but willing to follow Ethan's plan. He had watched the human think, improvise, and act with courage, and it challenged everything he thought he knew about lesser species. "Very well," he said finally. "We follow your method, but we monitor the stress closely." Captain Lyria joined them at the console, her presence commanding yet calm. "Ethan, if we survive this, it will be because of your actions. We place our trust in you." Ethan nodded, focusing entirely on the task. "I won't let you down." For the next hour, the human and alien engineers worked side by side, combining alien technology with human improvisation. Ethan suggested adjustments the aliens had never considered, rerouting energy flows using unconventional stabilizers, and even timing the engine pulse to match a rare alignment of cosmic radiation that could boost their propulsion. The Zephora groaned under the stress, the hull vibrating as energy surged through the main drive. Alarms blared, warning of structural stress, but Ethan's steady hands kept the system balanced. He worked quickly, explaining his reasoning to Soren in simple terms, and she adapted immediately, making fine adjustments to alien conduits. As the engines powered up for the jump, a new challenge appeared on the sensors. A rogue asteroid cluster, moving unpredictably, blocking the path to open space. "Ethan," Lyraya's voice was sharp. "We cannot reach safety with that cluster in the way." Ethan's mind raced. "We'll have to weave through it. I can pilot manually from the control deck, but I need precise data on every asteroid. Vector Soren, feed me trajectory calculations in real time. Lyraya, coordinate the crew to manage internal systems during the maneuver." The crew moved like a well-oiled machine. Vector calculated the asteroid trajectories. Soren adjusted power flows to the engines for quick bursts, and Lyraya coordinated life support, shields, and communications. Ethan piloted the ship with uncanny precision, dodging one massive rock after another, his movements instinctive and confident. Sweat dripped down his face as the Zephora twisted and turned through the debris. Sparks flew inside the corridors as minor systems overloaded, and warning lights flashed across every panel. But Ethan never wavered. He focused entirely on the path ahead, trusting his instincts, his knowledge, and the cooperation of the alien crew. Finally, with a final surge of energy, the Zephora cleared the asteroid cluster. The engines roared, stabilizing as the ship prepared for the jump. Ethan glanced at the readouts. Barely enough power for the jump, but if they acted now, they could escape the sector entirely. "All systems ready," he said, his voice calm but firm. "Prepare for the jump on my mark." The aliens nodded, every member of the crew focused, tense but trusting Ethan implicitly. "Now," he shouted, initiating the energy surge that would propel the ship into faster-than-light travel. The Zephora shuddered violently, the hull bending under the stress. Lights flickered, and the ship's vibration made it feel as if every component might tear apart. But the jump succeeded. A bright flash filled the control room as the ship left the dangerous sector, emerging into a calmer region of space. For a long moment, silence reigned. Then gradually the crew realized they had survived. Captain Lyraya exhaled slowly, relief flooding her voice. We are alive." Soren grinned, eyes wide. "You did it, human. I cannot believe it." Vector nodded, still stoic but with a rare smile. "You are remarkable." Ethan allowed himself a small smile. "We did it together. Your systems, your knowledge, it all worked with my ideas. This was teamwork." The alien crew gathered around him, and for the first time there was no hesitation, no doubt. They looked at him as one would a hero, someone who had risked everything to save them. Pride and respect shone in their eyes. Captain Lyraya stepped closer, her long fingers brushing lightly across the console. "Ethan Carter, you have proven yourself beyond measure. Your courage, ingenuity, and determination have saved this ship and my crew. We owe you more than words can express." Ethan shrugged modestly. "I only did what I could. You all have incredible skills and knowledge. You kept the ship alive until I could help. You were the true heroes." Soren looked thoughtful. "Human methods. Your creativity, it is inspiring. I want to study it. Perhaps one day we can combine human ideas with our technology in ways we have never imagined." Vector's voice was calm but sincere. "It seems our assumptions about humans were incomplete. You are resourceful, adaptable, and brave. Perhaps the universe has underestimated your kind." Lyraya nodded, her expression thoughtful. "You have opened a new path for understanding between our species. There is much we can learn from one another." As the crew celebrated their survival, a gentle quiet settled over the Zephora. The ship still bore scars of the storm, the asteroid cluster and the makeshift repairs, but it was whole enough to continue its journey. Ethan looked out at the stars, thinking of the human worlds far away, of the small research shuttle he had left behind, and of the bond he had formed with this alien crew. Even in the endless vastness of space, human ingenuity and courage had made a difference. One species' determination, one individual's willingness to act when others hesitated, had changed the fate of an entire civilization. Captain Larea approached Ethan once more, her voice soft but commanding. "We wish to offer you an honorary place in our civilization, a recognition of what you have done. You have our respect and our gratitude." Ethan shook his head, smiling. "I am honored, truly, but my place is among humans. I will return home. However, I will never forget this journey or all of you." The aliens understood. Trust and respect had been forged through danger and cooperation, and that bond would last beyond distance or species. They watched Ethan prepare his shuttle to return, their hearts full of admiration for the human who had stepped into the darkness of space and emerged a hero. As Ethan departed, the Zephora's crew gathered on the bridge, looking out at the stars and feeling a renewed sense of purpose. Humans, they realized, were more than survivors. They were problem solvers, innovators, and courageous beyond measure. The universe was full of dangers, but now they believed it was also full of unexpected allies. And somewhere in the infinite expanse of space, a single human pilot returned home, carrying with him the knowledge that even the smallest species could shine brightest when the moment demanded it. The stars sparkled with possibilities, and both human and alien hearts beat with hope, courage, and a new understanding that the universe was not just a place of survival. It was a place where heroes could emerge, even from the most unlikely of beings.